Okay.
I think we're good.
I think you're too. Awesome. Well, today on the Football for Girls podcast, we have a very special guest. We'd like to welcome Allison Kuch. Allison is a social media influencer, an NFL wife, and she's here today to share a little bit about her story with us and her journey towards becoming the figure she's become in the NFL. We're excited to hear and learn about how she kind of balances football and personal life and what's led her to this point. So let's dive in. Welcome, Allison.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to talk with you guys and just kind of talk about my whole story. I feel like it's kind of crazy.
It is very crazy and very inspiring to a lot of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
Do you want to start by telling us how you and Isaac met?
Yeah, so go way back to college. Also, if you guys hear any growling in the background, my dog just keeps giving me a little visit. But way back in 2014, December 2014, I was attending Michigan State. Isaac was at Notre Dame playing football, and my sister was dating somebody at the time who played football at Notre Dame, and I had been there a few times. And it was during finals week where I was like, I need to get the frick out of Michigan State, like out of East Lansing. I need to go away. And so I ended up going down to Notre Dame with my sister, and that weekend they were having like their Notre Dame football banquet. And so a lot of families were in town, guys were going out. It wasn't like football season. And I really just was like, okay, I just want to like go out to like a bar, like nothing, no big deal. And then I ended up going to a house party and I met Isaac. And I remember asking him, I was like, oh, do you want to take a shot with me? And back then he like didn't drink, like didn't do anything, was like such a good kid. And I'm like, no, he still is a good kid. But yeah, he was like, I won't take a shot with you, but like I'll have a beer. And I was like, okay. And then had a beer, and next day I think we went on a date, and then we started dating literally 2 weeks later.
Aw, that's super cute.
Mm-hmm. So you guys were long distance for a little while at the beginning.
Oh, we were long distance up until like 4 years ago. So we've been together for 9 years, but we were long distance, oh my gosh, until his second year in the NFL.
Wow. Really?
Mm-hmm.
So how did you guys get married?
We got married in 2021. Well, legally we got married in 2020 December, but technically we had our wedding and festivities in April 2021. Okay.
So you guys were like long distance for like up until like 2 years before you guys got married?
Yeah. And I don't know. Everyone says they hate long distance, and like I agree, like long distance can be a lot. But I feel like in college, it was like the best of both worlds when you're able to like go out with your friends and like dedicate those weekends to your friends. And then on the weekends when you're with your boyfriend, you get to dedicate it to your boyfriend. It was never like I was leaving the bar to go and hang out with my boyfriend. So I kind of liked the division there. It also allows you to still grow because like when you're in college, you're like changing like crazy.
Yeah.
Well, and I feel like long distance always strengthens your communication skills too, because you're like forced to communicate much more directly than when you're with someone.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I feel like the growing pains come so much quicker because you're like having to trust the other person. And I feel like social media wasn't like so big when we first, like definitely Instagram was a thing, but it wasn't like so big to the point where it is now. So that kind of like developed our trust really early on. So I was like, I have no idea what you're doing. I don't even know the friends you're hanging out with. Like we really didn't know much about each other when we started dating. So yeah, a lot of growing pains.
That's funny. So when you graduated Michigan State, what was your like plan? What did you do?
Oh my gosh. So it's crazy because I think I just started talking about this maybe like the last year, but Isaac and I took a break. He was in the NFL when I was graduating from Michigan State. So we took like a 6-month long break. And during that break was literally my senior year of college. I was like applying to jobs. I was like, okay, what am I going to do? Like, I'm not just going to go and like follow this man out to California, although it's kind of exactly what I did, but a little bit different. So I ended up, I think in like February or March, I ended up applying to a few jobs in California. I majored in interior design. and graphic design. So I was like, okay, California is like even though my ex slash kind of boyfriend lives in California, I was like, it's like the best case scenario for what I wanted to do, which was residential design. And so I ended up 8 days after graduating from Michigan State, I got on a plane with 4 suitcases and moved to California. I didn't have a roommate. I didn't know where I was living. I didn't know what city. All I had was a job and my 4 suitcases.
Wow. And off you went.
Yeah, and it's crazy because I look back now and I'm like, how did I have the balls to do that? I feel like I didn't even think about it. I was just like, yep, I'm going to do this. I'm going. I'm getting this job and I'm just going to figure it out. I ended up finding a roommate, lived in Santa Monica. Yeah, it was wild.
Did you like just stay at a hotel then, like with your 4 suitcases until you found a place to live?
No, I slept at Isaac's and we were still broken up. So it was like, but we had dated for so long that it was like kind of normal, but I feel like we were in the phase of like getting back together. So I ended up sleeping at his apartment down in Orange County and I had to commute to work in LA for like 2 weeks. And then a girl on Facebook reached out to me. We ended up meeting for mimosas and then becoming roommates. It was very like, it's crazy because there's so many creepy people out there, but she was so normal. We still like are friends to this day. And then I moved into an apartment and I was like, oh shit, like I need a bed. I need like a nightstand. I need like an alarm clock.
Furniture.
Yeah, and everyone thinks that like Isaac helped me along the way, and I'm like, yeah, he like let me borrow his card to like go to IKEA, but like he wasn't like, oh, hey, take my credit card to IKEA. Yeah.
So another question: why do you think people feel so connected to your videos? Like, what do you think draws people?
Ooh, I think I think that I bring a sense, or at least I hope so, that I bring a sense of relatability. I know like being married to someone in the NFL isn't really relatable, or the fact that like he has a good paying job and I have a job isn't relatable. But I hope I can like show people, even though like he might be in the NFL or I might be moving a lot, that I am still like a real person and like you can still have struggles at like the very top. And I also think that when I was growing up, I never really saw creators. I feel like it was more YouTube era when I was in college, but I feel like I never really saw women talking about struggling with like mental health or like the way they perceive themselves or just like overall just being sad sometimes for literally no reason. So I hope that like I bring a sense of relatability or like transparency that other people can relate to.
Well, I find you very relatable because my boyfriend is also named Isaac and he is also 6'5".
Oh my God. You're like, I relate way too much with you.
Yeah. I think it's.
I love that.
We both I go to Michigan State and you went to Michigan State. But
yeah.
I just think it's.
So I hope when it comes to like women and even like women like empowerment, like and like going after like chasing your dreams and like not letting anyone tell you no. I'm just so sick of this narrative that like women are weak or like they have to work twice as hard as men. It's like, no, I'm going to use everything that I've been given and I'm going to work half the amount as a man works and I'm still going to get what I want. Like, I hope I can empower like younger or even like women my age or older women to just go after what they want.
So
I think it's awesome to do that. Yeah, I think your vulnerability does really shine through and people are looking for that on the internet now. Like there is so much Photoshop, so much perfection in all aspects of life. And I think you show that you can have a wonderful, fulfilling life and be sad sometimes. Like that is just how life is.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't even have a reason why I'm sad sometimes, but I just am. Okay.
Who do you think was like your most influential mentor in like helping you like become like TikTok famous, but also like helped you like be like so real?
Honestly, I don't even know if I could pick anybody. That's a hard one. I don't know. I feel like I started TikTok like back when everyone did, like during quarantine. I would make like funny videos. I always loved being creative. And oh my God, I did YouTube way back in like 2014 when Isaac and I met, and the videos are cringe. I don't know if I still have them on private or not, They are cringe. But I feel like it was more so just like self-discovery. And I think I used social media, or at least like YouTube and Instagram, as a way to like document like how I was feeling, like more as like a journal. And then TikTok was like kind of like my creative outlet that I was just very sarcastic on. And now it's at the point where it's at today, where I can actually be real. Whereas in like during quarantine, it was more like, hey, come with me to spend my NFL has some money. Although I'll still do those.
So football is obviously a very big part of your life now. Were you always a football fan? Like, did you always follow football when you were younger, or did that kind of come when you started dating Isaac?
Well, my dad went to Michigan State, and then I went to Michigan State, and he loves college football. So we always, and being from Detroit, you have to love the Lions. So I definitely grew up a huge Lions fan. Kind of hurts sometimes to be a Lions fan. But my dad loves football, watches it every Saturday, every Sunday, like religiously. And if the Spartans lose, it's a bad day in our house. But I also had a brother who like grew up playing football, and I would just always go like with my parents just to like the games. So I always had a love of football. I feel like once I got to college, I did not miss one Michigan State football home game until I started dating Isaac. And then I started going to Notre Dame games. But yeah, I love the sport. Yeah, I love the sport of football. I like when people are like, oh my God, football is so boring. I'm like, do you know all the rules? Like you can't know all the rules, because like it's so interesting, and like it's kind of like a drama show to me. I'm like, this is like Housewives to me. Like the fact that like this guy's doing that, I don't know. I love football.
Well, there's so many nuances and intricacies that people, like, a lot of people just don't know. And if you don't know, then of course you'd be like, what is happening? But if you just apply yourself a little bit, it's very fun.
Exactly. And I feel like some players are even like, I remember watching an NFL game. It might have been like 2 years ago. I don't know. It was a while ago, but this guy caught a ball, but then put his foot out of bounds. And I was like, oh, like, I just thought the ball was going to be marked on this, and it wasn't. I was like, wait, what's going on? So it just shows that like there are so many rules, and like it goes into the sport of football.
Yeah. It's funny because so Grace and Bailey are sisters, and I'm married to one of their brothers, but they've grown up watching all of their brothers play and stuff. And now
we have 6 brothers.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
There are 10 of us. So it's,
I'm like, one is a lot.
6 are quite a lot.
It always makes it really interesting now these days, because I grew up in Ann Arbor, so I'm a Michigan fan. And their family's from Ohio State, or like from Ohio, so they're Ohio State fans. And then Grace goes to Michigan State. So we have all these different, rivalries going on.
Oh my God. And those rivalries, like, those run deep. Like the Michigan State, Michigan, Ohio State trifecta. I'm like, no, like absolutely not.
It's literally our house.
Oh my God, yeah, it's crazy. Like one of Isaac's, Chase Winovich, who plays for the Browns. I remember after a game, we just got to talking, and Isaac was like, "Oh yeah, he went to U of M," like thinking we were gonna have like a mutual connection. I was like, "Ew." I was like, that's gross.
So our grandpa is a Michigan fan like Ashley, and like it was like this week he's texting her like smackdowns that they can make during the fall. He's like, in the fall, we will say this, and then you will say that, and it will be hilarious. Right. And
I love that. No, I love that so much.
During Thanksgiving week, like leading up to the Michigan-Ohio State game, like Jake, my husband, and we are like not on speaking terms. We just argue like the whole week about what's going to happen, and the playoffs at the end of the season. It's just very funny.
Oh my God. But that's why you love football. And whenever people ask me like, oh, like what team do you want your husband to go and play for? I'm always like, honestly, I just want him to play for a team that has a good fan base, because it changes the experience of football. Like the Browns and the Raiders, like 2 of like the biggest fan bases. It was so much fun going to those games, because win or lose, like, yeah, some people are going to be pissed if you lose, but like, it doesn't matter. Everyone's still going to love their team no matter what. Like, these people have tattoos. I mean, I have a tattoo, but I'm like, these people have tattoos of like, this guy literally came up to me. He was like, look at my like brown elf. And I'm like, holy shit. Like, these people love this sport, but it makes it so much more enjoyable.
So now, like, what's your favorite part of the whole experience? I know you said you love the fan base, and obviously you love football. And then, like, what about halftime? Like, what's your favorite part of all of it?
I mean, obviously I have to say, like, my favorite part is like watching my husband out there. I think it's so cool to like be dating him when he was 19 and then just see him like playing in the NFL. It just, even though he's in year 7 now, it just does not get old. So it's just so cool to be like, holy shit, like, I know that guy. Like, that's like my fucking husband. Like, wow, that's crazy. But then, I mean, it goes into just like the traditions and like the fan bases, but also just like going to these games and like getting to experience like these big ass stadiums and like see all of these fans come for like this team. And I think that's, I honestly just love football and football season in general.
I feel like it's very common for like most NFL players to have dated like their wives throughout like high school and stuff. Like Patrick Mahomes and his wife, they started dating like, they've been dating for like 15 years. Like, it was crazy how long they've been dating.
I think they've been dating since they were like literally like maybe 14, like really, really young. And it's so cool because I'm sure she goes to games too and is like, oh my God, like my husband just won a Super Bowl. Like, obviously it's a team sport, but like to be able to like, wow, my husband and his team won a Super Bowl. It's just, you're like, wait, what? When you grow up, like having like Super Bowl parties in your like parents' basement, and then you're like, oh, like I'm at the game.
Right.
Well, and it has to be so surreal and cool to like grow with each other that way. To like, I mean, for both you and Isaac to like look at each other and be like, I knew you when, and I saw that, and it's so cool to see that realized now. And like,
oh my gosh, yes. Yeah, and it's in so many different parts of life. I'm sure other couples can like relate to stuff like this if you guys have been together for a long time. But I made a video yesterday about how we're going to Thailand next week, which I'm so excited for. But I look back at our trips in college and like we could barely afford to go on trips. And somehow we still did. We were doing the Airbnb shared house. Like,
that's what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, like it's a little like overwhelming to do that. But we did it, and it's just crazy, like, looking back, like, those 2 young, like, kids who, like, love to travel are still doing it, but, like, now they've achieved all these things and, like, get to, like, do it a little bit less restricted than how they used to.
And cram it all in during the off season because
oh my gosh,
here's your window.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm cramming in everything I possibly can.
So during the off season, you guys like to travel a lot, I'm guessing. Get it all out while you can.
Oh my gosh, we love traveling, but I feel like it's not like like we're gonna go to Hawaii or we're gonna go to Florida. We like to like really experience other like cultures, other traditions. We've been to Egypt. Like, I never thought in my wildest dreams I would ever go to Egypt. So we got to see the pyramids. We went to like Greece, Spain. We went to Bali. That was our first like ever international trip. We just went gung ho. We're like, yeah, we're going to Bali, like Indonesia. So I think that's such a cool part, is to like be able to experience these different like lifestyles and cultures. And because the world is so big, and I'm like, I don't want to be like so naive to like the world beyond just California. Although I know the whole US, don't worry, I've lived in multiple places. But yeah, we like to travel as much as we possibly can. I feel like that's where we'd like to spend our money. Everyone's like, oh, NFL is like materialistic designer. And I'm like, I would rather get on a plane and like go and experience something for a week or 2. And then, yeah, that's kind of like our splurge area.
That's awesome. That is very awesome. So during season, what do you guys do to like stay connected with each other? Obviously, you're crazy busy and constant like practice, games, traveling. Like, what do you guys do to kind of stay on the same page?
So just this last year, we started doing like I think it was every Thursday night. or every Monday night. Their off day is on Tuesday, so it doesn't really make for the greatest Monday date night. Like, not the whole city's not popping off, but we have one day a week that we will try and go to like a new restaurant we've never been to, or we'll go out on a date night and just kind of dedicate that towards ourselves. But I also feel like football ends around like 5 or 6. He gets home pretty late, but then we always make dinner. Every single night he gets home, we make dinner, and then maybe like watch an episode or something and then go to sleep. So I feel like it's like the most mundane thing of like just making dinner or like experiencing a meal together. But I feel like that we can just like decompress from our day it's crazy because he like goes off and like I have no idea what he does at the facility. And then he comes home and he's like, oh, this is what I did today. And I was like, oh, didn't know they had like a whole like, I don't know, they have like a whole like rehab center at the Browns facility. And he was like, yeah, I was just in like the UV room or something. I'm like, what? Yeah, but I feel like we always connect over food. That's our favorite way to connect, as I'm sure a lot of people's favorite way to connect is over food.
Well, and I'm sure the ritual of like creating something together, like even if it is like a meal, like a lot of people don't think of that as creative, but that is something creative to do together. And be like, we did this.
Yeah, I always go to like Pinterest and I'll be like, oh, you know what? I'm just gonna make a cool Pinterest like recipe. I'm not the cook in our relationship. That's Isaac's job. But during the football season, I kind of have to take over because I'm sure this man doesn't want to come home at 7 p.m. and just whip something up. So
very understandable.
Although he does still sometimes.
I have like a random question. So you said you've talked about before, like obviously mental health and everything, and how hard it is to move to new cities. So my husband obviously is not in the NFL, but we move a lot. So I want to know how you make friends, because that is one of the hardest things for me, is making new friends in the new places that we go.
You know, it's funny because people ask me that all the time. And I'm like, honestly, like Ohio was really like a dark time for me, unfortunately, just because I feel like I didn't put myself out there enough. And I feel like I kind of learned that when we moved to Indiana. And then unfortunately, like Ohio, it was just so up and down with his career. I was like, are we even going to be here in a week? Like, I have no idea. But since moving back to California, we bought a home here. Even though we've lived here on and off the last 6 years, this is our first time owning a home here. So I was like, okay, I actually need to make friends. Like, this is where I'm living permanently. Like, once football's done, like, we will be here. So I feel like a lot of people say this. This is just the way I found out how to make friends here, is honestly just going to workout classes, or just, you have to be the person that's going to be able to like talk to somebody, even if it's uncomfortable. I think I made a friend at like a coffee shop. I was like, oh my God, I love your shoes. And she was like, thanks. And I was like, oh, do you live around here? I'm like trying to pick up this girl at a coffee shop. But I feel like it almost comes with like doing whatever you like to enjoy doing, and like meeting people who are also doing that. But I found a few girls like at workout classes, and I just look over them and I'm like, are you guys like struggling, or is this just me? Like, am I so out of shape? But even like, I don't know, like you just have to be, it's such an awkward thing, or at least that's my perception of it. But like trying to like, hey, do you want to hang out? Like, you have to say like, oh, do you want to go get drinks or something? I'm like, a margarita can like drastically change the awkwardness. Right.
So kind of switching gears a little bit and talking more about like your online presence overall, and kind of your journey here. What do you think your followers misunderstand about the NFL? I know early on you said a lot of your videos were inspired to kind of combat the gold digger NFL wife narrative. But I think there's still, I think most people who follow you know that is not you. But I think there are still misunderstandings. And what do you think some of those are?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've nailed that one in the butt. Like, I'm not a gold digger. Everybody knows it now. But I think another big misconception is that whenever I talk about like, oh, like this will be his 7th season, they're like, yeah, if he makes the team. And I'm like, okay, so if he doesn't, like, okay, well, like, right, we'll get to that if it comes. 7 years is a long time in the NFL, but I think a big misconception is that people are like, so what job is he going to have after the NFL? And I'm like, if you have to immediately go from the NFL, being in there for 7 years, if you've been in the NFL for 7 years and you immediately have to get a job, you clearly don't have financial advisors on your team. Like, you have not managed your money well, and you haven't like invested it in places that will grow. I'm hoping that when Isaac's done, when I say hoping, I'm pretty sure when Isaac's done that he won't have to go and get he won't have to go get a 9 to 5. And I feel like I've tried to help out with that, of like growing our businesses off the field, so that it'll be a smooth transition once he is done with football, and it won't be like, oh my God, what's next? It's like, this man is never going to sit down. Like, I know that, but I kind of hope selfishly he'll be a stay-at-home dad, and then I can go out in the work.
But he's not going to be like selling insurance once he's done.
I don't think so. Not unless, although he loves to talk to people, he tells me all the time, he was like, if I didn't play football, I feel like I'd be such a good used car salesman, because he was like, I can talk to anybody. And I'm like,
that's awesome.
I feel like another like big misconception is that everyone makes like insane amounts of money in the NFL. That I feel like like obviously like the NFL pays well for everyone, but also like I feel like everyone has the idea that like everyone's making $50 million a year.
Oh my God, everybody thinks that. And everybody also thinks that if he's on a team, then he has to stay on the team for the year. And I'm like, no, you can be a $50 million player and still get cut. Like, there is there's really no safety there. And the misconception of like making all this money, I think that overwhelms me, because so many people are like, oh, like your husband's in the NFL, like you're so like this, and this. And I'm like, okay, you need to, there's taxes, which obviously everybody needs to pay taxes, and not everyone. I feel like every time I talk about things like this, I feel like I have to go back and like protect myself. But like, you guys know what I'm saying, okay? Like, you have to pay tax. Yeah, exactly. But people are like, oh yeah, we know you have to pay taxes. Like, you make so much money, you deserve to pay taxes. I'm like, guys, you're hating on us for paying. Like, we're just saying we pay them. Right, like we pay them, okay? The IRS, if you're listening, we pay our taxes. No, but I feel like at the end of the day, you have to also think about like moving. The NFL doesn't help out with moving. If he, like when he went from the Browns to the Raiders, it was only 2 weeks left in the season, but like we couldn't get out of our lease in Ohio if we wanted to, if we had to move there for the other half of the year. We're also paying a mortgage in California. And so you have all these things. Shipping a car out is $2,000. Getting a pod full of furniture is $4,000. So like you have to think of all those costs as well. So at the end of the day, if you're on a minimum contract, like you definitely have benefits and it's a good paying job. But the way that these players have been taught to look at the NFL, and this is what the NFLPA talks about, is like divide how much money you're making in the NFL over the rest of your life. And that's how much you're making this year. Like, unless you want to go and get a job after the NFL, then you can look at it differently. But a lot of these players are like taught that you're supposed to divide that, because these guys have been playing football since they've been like, 12? Like, they don't have real job experience, or a lot of them don't. So it can be difficult.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like, it's been, I'm sure Isaac's like whole life for most of his life. Like, I know even our brothers who played like college ball, like in high school, it is so all consuming, and you learn skills, but like, you can't just go get.
So it's not like if you want to become a lawyer, you're not getting real world experience in football. Right. Yeah. So I feel like that could be hard.
I feel like most like high school football players can't even work a job because football is so consuming then. Like they like literally have no job experience, just because like all throughout high school you have 2-a-days all throughout summer. Like things like that. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, well, it's funny that you say that. Growing up, my parents, like, this is obviously coming from a place of privilege, but my parents were like, you either play sports or you're getting a job. Like, it's one or the two, because you're not going to be sitting on your ass doing nothing. Yeah. I was like, fine, I'll join. Right? Yeah, I was like, fine, like, I'll join. Yeah.
Yeah. No.
So as we kind of wrap up, we have a 14-year-old sister who loves you and will definitely be listening to this podcast when it's published. And kind of looking back on like your life even before you met Isaac, like in high school and college, what advice would you give 14-year-old you?
Oh my gosh, don't let anybody tell you no. If you want to be the first NFL head coach, woman, female coach, do it. Like, do not let, and if you want to be like, whatever your wildest dream is, do not let anybody tell you no. I feel like growing up, people would always try and like put my dreams, like make them a little smaller. I feel like growing up, I wanted to like be on YouTube. I wanted to like do influencing. I thought it was so cool. I never thought I was going to be this type of like content creator where I'm like crying on the internet. Definitely thought it was going to be like fashion or like makeup. But I feel like don't let anyone tell you no. And if you have a dream, like go after it. Do not let anything stop you or like get in that way. And I think that like I've seen it more so after college of like me getting a normal 9-to-5 job and me trying to like advance in my own career during that point. People will be like, well, I don't really know if that's going to be super successful, or I don't know about this. And it's like, don't let people tell you that. Be like, okay, well then that's your opinion. Like, I know I'm going to be able to be successful in this and I'm going to go after it, and literally just dive into it. Like, be so into your own dream that you're like, I'm going to take this class. I'm going to research this on YouTube. Like, literally make it your entire personality.
That's awesome. I know you.
The hustle.
A lot of people to do that, and to like, you've shown people like there are a lot of possibilities and so much you can do if you just commit yourself to it.
Yeah, I think you owe it to yourself.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, because no one makes your dreams come true for you. That is you.
Mm-hmm.
You have to just choose that.
I wish they could, but they can't.
Fantastic.
That sounds easy.
So a couple rapid fire questions we wanted to go through with you real fast. What is your favorite NFL team? Aside from the Raiders, which of course, right?
I have to always represent my hometown. I gotta say the Detroit Lions.
So heartbreaking. Though.
I know. No other NFL team hate me, please.
What is your favorite game day snack?
A hot dog. Oh my gosh. I love a stadium hot dog.
It's like the most American thing. Like,
it is. And unfortunately I'm allergic to gluten, so I get it on the bun, but then I push the hot dog off because I'm like, I don't want to just be holding a hot dog in my hand. Like, that would look so weird. Yeah, but I love a good stadium hot dog.
That's awesome. What is your favorite halftime show you've ever seen? Either in person or on TV.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say, you have to say Rihanna, right?
Yeah.
I loved it, yeah.
Is like, nothing will ever top that.
I was at the game. I didn't know that she announced that she was pregnant until the next day. Like, I just didn't, because I guess I really wasn't looking at her. Like, I was looking at the whole show. Right. Whereas on TV, like, it showed her. So, yeah, I didn't learn she was pregnant until the next day. Yes, exactly. I wasn't like, I don't know. I wasn't looking at just her. So I learned that the next day. But that was incredible. Like I was literally crying because I was like, oh, all these old like songs, like Umbrella, brought back memories.
That was great. What is your favorite stadium?
Oh shit. I'm gonna have to say SoFi. SoFi Stadium is incredible. If you guys have never gotten a chance to go, it's just so like, it honestly feels like you're in the future. Allegiant is like second.
Which fan base has the craziest fans?
Raiders.
I
mean that in a good way.
Yes.
They're scary, but like you like to be a part of them. Like, I love them. I admire them. I want to go to a game like dressed in the full like skulls, like everything. That's my dream.
That would be amazing. And then finally, what 3 movies do you think everyone should watch? Or what are your 3 favorites?
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, my number 1 favorite movie, this is such a random movie. It's called The Ugly Truth by Katherine Heigl. I just remember going and seeing it in theaters with my mom, and I cracked up the entire time. So that's number one. Ooh, what are my favorite movies? I feel like I'm not really a movie. Isaac, what are my favorite movies? I'm trying to think of, I don't know. I feel like I like Disney movies. Like, does that count? Like,
those are always
love
fun.
a good Disney. Yeah. So we'll just say 2 and 3 are a Disney movie. Oh, like The Parent Trap. Like Parent Trap is like one of my favorite movies for sure.
The classic one or Lindsay Lohan?
The classic one.
It's so good. So good.
I love old movies.
Yeah, we always watch
Although
old
the Lindsay
musicals.
Lohan one, I mean, obviously it kills. I actually got to go to that vineyard in Napa.
Wow, that's so fun.
Yeah, and I got like a tour of the house, and I was like, wait, Lindsay Lohan.
I recognize this. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I feel like we have to give Isaac a little shout out. Before we did this, my husband was like, do I get to come on and say hi to Isaac? And I was like, no. This is just an us thing. Sorry.
If we ever make our way over to Pennsylvania, we'll have to grab a drink or something.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
We're like 30 minutes outside of Pittsburgh, so we're like right in the thick of Steelers country.
Oh, yeah, that's the thick of it. Wait, so what team do you guys root for, like NFL-wise?
The Lions.
Yeah.
We since being here, we've gone to a few Steelers games and embrace it because they don't really play the Lions, so there's no conflict of interest there. So
Right.
no, we cheer for the Steelers too, but always Lions.
As long as, the Lions are always top tier.
Where our hearts
I'm
are at.
Chiefs fan. I really like the Chiefs, and I have for years. But they all think I'm a bandwagon just because of the Super Bowl. I genuinely love them.
Like, it's not my fault my team is winning and yours isn't.
Exactly. I'm sure yours never made it to the Super Bowl, and mine just keeps winning the Super Bowl. But I
think the Chiefs fan base is also one of those top tier, they're diehard. You gotta love it.
Completely.
no.
Well, we're really excited because we're gonna go to Kansas City for the draft, so we're excited to kind of see all the fans and be immersed in that.
Oh my god, I was supposed to go. I'm so bummed I'm not going anymore. I got some other opportunity. I'm so bummed I can't go to the draft, but I will say Kansas City has really, really good barbecue. There's the best barbecue place is it's in a gas station. It's incredible. You guys have to go. I'll find the name. I don't know. I went there when
more details than just a gas station. That'll be hard to find. I don't normally just gas station food.
You're just walk into a shell and be like, "Hey, do you guys have barbecue here?" No, but yeah, it's actually a really cool city. And I'm so jealous of you guys that you guys are going. I wish I was going.
It'll be an adventure, that's for sure.
You definitely have to put in Detroit next year.
Oh
yeah.
Well, absolutely. Oh my god. I haven't been to a Lions game since, oh my gosh, I don't even remember the last Lions game I've been to. I'll have to go back now.
Well, and they're on the rise, so it's a little more exciting these days.
Absolutely. I'm
Not this year.
right. I filmed a show with Kristen Harper, Jared Goff's fiance. She is literally one of the sweetest humans I've ever met. And I was like, "Oh, look, how are the Lions doing?" And she's like, "Oh, they're doing pretty good now." And I'm like, "Thank God! They need their time to shine."
It's been a long journey for us diehards.
Right? Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been great to get to know you, and go Lions.
Yeah, right. I'm like, I don't know if I should say that yet, but I'll be like, I'm rooting for the Lions. But yeah, thank you guys so much for having me on. I had so much fun, and I love talking all things football with girls that also love football.
We do too.